This is GrantTalk, hosted by Libby Hikind, founder and CEO of GrantWatch and author of The Queen of Grants.
Hi, everybody. I'm Libby Hikind, founder and CEO of GrantWatch.com and the author of The Queen of Grants. And I am your host today on GrantTalk. Thank you all for joining us. Please hit the subscribe button below so we can bring you many more of these podcasts where we interview funding sources and grant awardees. So stay tuned. Today we are sitting with Patty Eljaiek, and she is the grants coordinator for the Long Island Grants for the Arts Huntington Arts Council, located in Long Island, New York. Where in New York are you sitting right now, Patty?
Well, right now I'm sitting in my home in Huntington Station in Suffolk County on Long Island.
And you cover Nassau and Suffolk as well, correct?
Yes, we are the primary re-grant site for New York State funding for Nassau and Suffolk County.
And the fact that you're an arts organization makes me super duper happy because that was my love. I minored in fine arts in my undergraduate degree. I can tell you that in 8th grade, I won a contest, a poster contest. And it was like the highlight of my young life to be able to go to a conference where I was awarded that with like 300 people sitting there at a dinner. It was just so wonderful. And it made me continue my artwork, a little bit of encouragement, and goes a long way. And you have grants, right? And it gives the artist a lot of encouragement and finances to continue. So tell me about your mission.
So the Huntington Arts Council was established in 1963, and we have been and continue to be the official arts coordinating organization with the town of Huntington for arts and cultural events. We also are, as I said, the primary re-grant site for New York State Council on the Arts in Nassau and Suffolk County and for state funding. We also have, our mission is really all primarily about arts advocacy for the artists, for arts organizations, and for the community.
In reading about you, I see that it's not just physical arts, it's also performing arts.
Oh yeah, it's all disciplines, everything. Our grants are open to all disciplines, multidisciplinary film, media, performing arts, music, public art, literature, and we also do grants for arts education as well.
Children's books?
Yes. Yes.
That's something I've started recently. I went from writing The Queen of Grants to writing children's books.
That's fantastic. I was an illustration major at School of Visual Arts, so that was my first love too. And it's still, words are still an inspiration for me in my personal work as well.
So I'm not illustrating my own books. I'm writing. And I'm working with the illustrator. The illustrator is basically my fingers because I know what I want, where I want it, how I want it done.
Of course.
But all these new programs, I don't have time to learn at this point. But I really get what I want from the illustrators. The books are beautiful. Yeah. And I'm happy that that's something that you do. So an artist applies or an organization applies?
Both, actually. So we have been the New York State re-grant site for Nassau and Suffolk counties, New York State Council on the Arts re-grant site for Nassau and Suffolk counties since 1975. Last year, we also received direct funding from the Senate and House Legislature for New York State, one of 9 sites that did so. So we were able to change up our offerings a little bit, which for artists and organizations, because we knew there was a specific need. This year we have been invited back to the statewide community re-grant program, which we're very excited about because that means we can offer even more opportunities for artists and organizations, but they can both apply. We have an artist fellowship grant for individual artists for 26, which we started last year. We have general operating support, a small general operating support grant for smaller arts organizations, and then the SCR program, the statewide community program, will have grants for individual artists, for artists working with community organizations to do community arts programming, and specifically for arts education in school and with community-based learning. And we have a micro grant for both. So
Years ago, I worked when I was teaching in the summer. There was a program called Learning to Read Through the Arts.
oh wow.
That was through the New York City Department of Education. It worked wonderfully. Children that were not reading at all were reading at the end of the summer.
Sure.
Because whatever they worked with, whatever medium, they had to learn the words. We had to write them. They had to be able to read them. It was just so wonderful.
Absolutely. I worked for a Center for Educational Innovation, and we had a 2-year federal grant teaching math and literacy skills through the arts in District 75. So you can see
BOCES, right? That was BOCES.
no, this was in the city. This was before I was with Huntington Arts Council.
Okay.
But BOCES does offer multidisciplinary, programming for students in schools through teaching artists as well. Just like our Journey program is the same thing. It was started by Sandy Chapin, and it was. And what we do is we go into schools that buy into the program, and we provide them with teaching artists and professional development opportunities for teachers through the arts. So it's performing arts, visual arts, etc.
Can a PTA apply for the grant?
If they are a 501c, yes. If they have nonprofit status, they can.
So otherwise, the PTA could apply through the school.
Schools, unfortunately, for the state-funded grants, the New York State Council on the Arts grants, schools cannot apply directly. It's the artist that's applying in collaboration with the school. So an individual artist can apply with a public school, K through 12 public school, for an in-school program during the day. And they can also apply with a community organization or with a public school for an after-school program as well, for a closed group of learners.
What does the funding look like?
So for an arts education grant, the artist they apply with their program. So they have to have their program set. They have to have their methodology, their lesson plan or outline. They have to know exactly what they're going to be teaching, how they're going to be teaching it, and a way of assessing and evaluating whether the program was successful. So they can do interdisciplinary programming. They can do straight just arts programming. It has to be at least 3 sessions of sequential learning. And that's during the school day.
Right, so money-wise.
Money-wise, it's $5,000. Oh, well, typically it's always been $5,000. I believe that may change for 26, but typically it was always $5,000 for that.
And that is the artist's salary and the materials.
The prioritized expenses are paying artists for all grants across the board. That's our main function, is get that money into the artist's hands. Paying artists, supplies and materials. That's pretty much it, because the other grants will also allow you to pay for, let's say if you're doing a community project, they can allow you to pay for venue rental, for equipment rental, for technical assistance, for anything, almost anything that you need to implement your programming.
If you could talk to other organizations that have arts funding in other states, what would you tell them?
I'd have questions for them, actually, because I'd be interested about how they, where their funding comes from, how they run their programs, what their criteria is. There's a lot that goes into this. And we create all these documents, the application, the rubrics, the evaluation, everything. So it's always interesting to see what other people are doing. I would also ask them, quite honestly, if I may be frank, how much of their state funds them, how much funding they get, what percentage they get from the state, because unfortunately on Long Island, only 3% of the New York State's arts and cultural budget goes to Nassau and Suffolk County. We've done a lot of community outreach in the past few years to make sure that artists and organizations understand that if we cannot show need to get this funding, we're not going to be getting it. So we need to show them that, yes, there are people doing arts and doing programming and doing all kinds of amazing things in Nassau and Suffolk County, and they need funding to keep it going, because people are engaging with them. The community is engaging. And that's how we get things done.
Arts programs get children off the street.
They do many things, yes, yes, and that's a major part of it. You always hear. I mean, I'm an artist myself, as I said, and you always hear stories of kids who are floundering or having trouble in school or having issues, and many of them, like all of us, go through it. But then they find music or dance or visual arts or even gaming. Designing. They want to design games. All of those things, everything everything is creative, really. But all of those things, they find something and they get to express themselves. They get to find support. They get to find people that are like them. So it really builds a community.
And we have mental health issues all across the United States. And if somebody's doing artwork, their creativity and everything, it just goes right into it. And that's when we get the best songs, when somebody's having a problem.
It is kind of, it is kind of, it's always a show. I always said, I like Bruce Springsteen, but I really loved him when he was younger and really sort of tortured and, still in Jersey and kind of putting it all out there.
Right.
Passionate and everything. Not that he's not great now, I'm just saying. But it also resonated with me because I was 17, so it was, Born to Run, that was it.
We have artwork that came from there. The Scream, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. Well,
Picasso,
all of that,
everything.
And so here's something I want to say though. All of that being said, right? It is all about your feelings and it's about, finding connection and being able to express yourself and everything. But the arts are also incredible drivers of economic prosperity. Like they contribute hundreds of thousands of dollars to the economy, if not more. I mean, I can't really speak to it directly. Long Island Arts Alliance did a fantastic report where they actually break down how much per person is spent when someone comes out to Nassau and Suffolk County, specifically, not just New York State, but specifically Nassau and Suffolk County, to attend an arts event, whether it's a show or a gallery exhibition or anything. And they don't just come to attend that event. They come to attend the event and then they'll go have dinner or they'll go shopping or they'll spend money, not just on the ticket, but on being in the town. Huntington is an amazing arts town. So is Northport. Sometimes we'll go into Northport to go to see a new gallery show at a gallery I like. And then while we're there, we'll stay. Let's have something to eat. Oh, and let me go shopping a little bit. So that the gallery show was free, but now I'm spending money in town and I'm not a tourist. I live here. So it's people don't realize how much.
So the arts are a driver of economic development in an area.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So it helps the individual artist, it helps their economy, their personal financials, and then it helps the community, and it helps our children's future because we have real artwork, not AI artwork, right?
Right. Yes.
The emotions are coming out. It has so much outreach to so many different areas.
Right.
And I think that if you look on GrantWatch, we have 60 categories of grants. And you could probably say arts, while we have an arts and culture one, that the arts are related to almost every category that's there.
Absolutely.
So,
yep, absolutely.
Right.
Yep.
So how has GrantWatch helped you? How's it helped your organization?
Well, I mean, I think any time when we can get, again, community outreach, we can get outreach to let people know that our programs exist. It's unfortunate sometimes when I tell people, oh yeah, I'll talk to artists. I talk to artists all the time. And when I meet someone new and I say, well, we have grants, and they say, you do? Yes. It's kind of like, yes, we do. And we have for a really long time. So I don't want to be too condescending, but people don't know. So a platform like GrantWatch lets them know that we exist and that it's available to them. And also all other kinds of grants as well and funding, because it is a source to get that information in one place.
Right. And if they're not eligible for this grant, they're going to be eligible for another grant.
Right.
And
Exactly.
I just keep saying apply, apply, apply.
Well, that's my mantra too. I'm glad you said that because, a lot of people, it can be daunting, right? It's a lot of information. There's guidelines, there's application deadlines, there's criteria, there's the panelists. We don't decide who gets funded. The panelists do, right? So we have a panel of a diverse panel of people with all different kinds of backgrounds, all having an interest in the arts, whether they're artists or whether they are supporters of the arts. And they're the ones who decide who gets funded. So, all of these things are very daunting to artists who are trying to maneuver this whole process. But part of our historically, and what we do, continue to do, is we provide mentorship to every applicant. So we schedule calls, individual calls with everyone who wants to apply, can schedule a call for every grant opportunity, and we will talk to them about what their program is, how it fits the criteria, help them out with all their questions that they have. We've streamlined the process for application. Our micro grant application takes about 25 minutes to fill out.
We get phone calls, and I get a call, and the person wants to apply, but they don't know how, and they don't know if they're a good enough writer, whatever.
Right.
And they're just stuck. And I think that if they just make that phone call or send an email to the funding source, they're going to get unstuck. They're going to get moving. A lot of people look to me because I'm a motivator, and they just want my time to motivate them. And I'm just, I always remember my mom said, if you don't get off the couch, your dishes will not get washed. Nobody's going to wash them for you. Okay, yes, we have dishwashers, but somebody has to put them in. It's the same thing. You have to take that first step. And the first step, look on GrantWatch, find a grant you're eligible for, check the criteria, and then make a phone call, send an email, and start that engagement with the funding source.
Exactly.
That's how you start.
Exactly. Right, exactly. And we have skill building workshops. We have a lot of free, it's all free, professional development for artists. We had one last night, which was amazing. And it's basically skill building on things that are found in our grants, like community engagement, budgets. And we have a panel of people who've gone through it and grant writers who are there to answer their questions. And it's great because they can just come and say, well, this is my organization, this is what I want to do, how, what's the best thing for me, or how do I do community engagement? How do I do community outreach? How do I build my audience? I want to write a grant where I want to do this program, but how do I know how to reach the people I want to reach?
Your skill building is it remote or it's in person?
It's in person, and then I record it, the presentation, and we put it on our website for those who couldn't attend, because it is optional, it's not mandatory.
So what's on your website, can somebody sitting in Baltimore or Kentucky, can they look at your video?
Yeah, of course they can. They can't apply for our grants, but they can look at our video.
And they can learn all these skills that they're lacking.
Absolutely. A lot of them are transferable to any grant opportunity, especially if we're talking about something like community engagement. Almost every grant, in terms of like an arts performing grant or an arts, even an arts education really, has some kind of community engagement part of it.
So what's the website?
Our website is huntingtonarts.org.
huntingtonarts.org. So you can go there, you can find training. It doesn't matter where you're sitting right now. You may not be able to apply for their grants, but you'll be able to apply for a grant in another state, another location.
Right.
There are grants there. Of course, their grants are on GrantWatch. We take the grant language and we put it into English so people understand much more, clearly what they need, what their eligibility is. I'm sure yours is very understandable anyway.
It is. Actually, it is pretty straight ahead. Yeah.
All right. So I just want to tell everybody, hit that subscribe button. You see, it doesn't matter where you are. When we interview a funding source, they have such great tidbits for you to know. Look, the grant application is not reviewed by one person. It's not the person you may have been speaking to. Sometimes I get a phone call from somebody and they say, I made a call and I sounded so dumb and I'm so embarrassed. How could I apply for the grant? Everybody has their strengths and their weaknesses during that initial phone call. So don't worry about it. And here you see, your grant is decided on by a panel, not necessarily the person in the office that you spoke with. So come on, move further. And artists also, sometimes writing is not their skill. Budgeting is not their skill. Their skill is the art world. And that also can be daunting. But here there's training. Yes. So why not apply? And Patty, I'm really so happy to speak with you today. Is there anything else you'd like to tell our audience?
Yes, just piggybacking on what you said. Yes, a lot of artists, especially, feel like, oh, I can't write, right? Or I'm not going to write. We don't ask you to write a dissertation. We just want you to answer the questions. So it's just about answering the questions that we have on the application in your own words. That's it.
But answer the questions. Don't go on and on about something.
No. Answer the question. Brief. Answer the question. There is a word count because we do get, for our micro grant opportunity, we're getting this year between 40 to 50 applications every other month. So that's a lot of.
I'm happy that it's coming, that they're finding you on GrantWatch. I'm sorry you have so much work to read.
Well, no, but it's for the panelists, really, because they're the ones who have to read them. So, be brief, but answer the question. Words that are used in the question, use those words in your answer, because that's what the panelists are looking for. They're looking for the answer to the question. In terms of budget, again, same thing. You know what the grant will pay for. Don't ask for something else. And also, we don't just have professional development for artists for the grants. We also have professional development for artists and arts organizations that we have recordings of on our website as well. And that's for everything from contracts to social media, branding, legal advice, taxes, all of those things. So if anyone from anywhere can go to our website and learn about lots of different skills that they can get just from watching our videos. So
thank you so much for today. Again, everybody, hit that subscribe button. Look at the wealth of information you got today, and we'll write more about the organization below and give you some links so that you can get there. Thank you so much, Patty, and I really look forward to a continued relationship with GrantWatch.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you for tuning in to GrantTalk, powered by GrantWatch. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this GrantWatch channel. Please consider subscribing to GrantWatch.com, and you can find the book, The Queen of Grants, by going to GrantWatch.com/book. Thank you again for spending your time with us.